if you take time to shut up and just watch yourself, it's amazing what will come out of just watching yourself.
What is up, everybody? And welcome back to the Schooling Struggle Podcast for episode 20. It is our belief that the only guarantee in life is that we're all going to struggle, and how we choose to embrace our struggles is what empowers us to become the best versions of ourselves. My name is Pete, coming to you from Heartland, Vermont, and with me is my friend and co-host, Todd, coming to you from Tacoma, Washington. What is up, Todd?
What is up, Peter? How are you doing?
Man, I've missed you, my friend.
I missed you as well.
Todd was on vacation last week in sunny Florida, so we took a week respite from hearing each other's beautiful voices. In less than 30 seconds, tell me how your vacation went.
Well, that's interesting. It was chaotic, then restful, then not long enough, and then frantic, and then that was it. Then it ended.
Man, it sounds like a day in my house with a 6-year-old.
Yeah, except for the whole week.
All right, well, so where I want to steer tonight's conversation is in relation to your vacation. And what I was thinking about is how the premise of our conversations is based around the fact that we all are trying to navigate the struggles that are in our life. And be it, big struggles or small struggles, I think one way that we can navigate those is with a brain reset or a brain recharge, or how we utilize our mindset to help get ourselves back to equilibrium when things seem overwhelming. I think I've used this term before, but sometimes when things are overwhelming, my goal is just to get them whelming. And I'm curious, both on a macro and a micro level, how I want to pick your brain about how you navigate the brain recharge or the mindset piece to help you get through some of the struggles. And what I kind of want to focus on is when I say micro, what I mean is something that you might do on a daily basis, and then maybe something that you might do on a weekly basis, and then something bigger than that, either like on a monthly basis or a yearly basis, like going away on vacation. And I'm just curious to know how you navigate challenge in life utilizing, I guess the best way to put it is the brain recharge or the brain reset. So coming off a week away, I was hoping this might be fresh in your mind. Like when you were away, where was your mindset and where did you want your mindset to be? And how did you utilize your vacation to help navigate some of the stuff you have going on in your life?
Yeah. Your questions are so funny because in my mind, they often go back to exactly what we've talked about and where we've put like pins in conversations before, like as I think about it. And I don't know if that's the same for the listeners, but I would be very curious to know if that's actually the case. I think for me, it depends. I've talked about balance before and how my wife and my friends that I have around me locally help me achieve balance or find balance or, even embrace the idea of having balance because I'm typically off or on. And so for me, it depends on where I'm going on vacation to, and there's a lot of context, like what I'm going there to do, who I'm going with, and what is the intention I have on vacation. So to unwind that a bit, most often I'll go with the same group of people, which includes my family and a couple of different friend families. I've been trying to think of how to say that word. Friend families of ours who we commingle with at CrossFit and we've known for years. And so they know that I do all these things with mindfulness, and they know that I do all these things with, drinking, and they know they know me pretty well. And so when I say it's where we're going, it's what we're going to do. So in this case, we were going to somebody's wedding. So it was more of I'm going there to have fun. I'm going to release all of this tension, and we're going to have a good time with these new friends of ours and help usher them into a new phase of life. And so to that end, I already know, right? Like I pack my meditation stuff and I pack all these things, but I know in my mind, they're rarely going to use when I go there, because when I get there, we're going to hit the ground running. It's going to be party time. We're going to be fishing. It's going to be like all these things where I'm not going to have time where I don't intentionally make time to do those things that I do on a regular basis at home. So I think that sets the stage, right?
I got to interject real quick.
Yeah.
What What is someone that's so mindful about mindfulness, such as yourself, pack for quote mindfulness
I
stuff when
don't.
they
I
go
just
on
have
vacation? What is mindfulness
I
stuff?
just pack an intention to do it to keep like my practice going. But I know that if it slips, I'm not going to hold myself like to high regard of like, oops, it was too late last night. I didn't get that in.
So
So
when you say pack in, like pack a mental intention, or physically pack something that you use in your mindfulness practice?
no, it's just mentally.
Oh,
Like
okay, okay.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
No, I don't. I don't get the singing bowl or any of this craziness.
So I want to structure the conversation. Let's go macro to micro. So we're going to talk about like the things that we don't do super often that are like
Mhm.
the big rechargers, like
Yep.
the trip you just went on.
Yeah.
Actually, vacation. Funny, there's a stark difference for me in the difference between a trip and a vacation. My wife and I joke and talk about this all the time. And then I want to go down to the semi often thing, maybe the thing we do on a monthly or weekly basis, and then finish the conversation with what we do on a daily basis
Okay.
to kind of free the mind.
Okay. Take it where you want it to go.
So when you so this particular week away down in Florida, the premise or the goal of this was to just release attention, let it go, have a good time, come back in a mental space that's less tense, less stressed.
Hopefully, right? Yeah. I mean, it depends, right? So I think it also so I wouldn't see this last one as a major one for me. So when I think like the yearly or the annual, I strive to like go on something where I unplug completely, typically by myself. So it'll be like some kind of meditation retreat or somewhere where I'm a few days in the woods by myself. And I think that that adds a different layer of clarity and a different type of restfulness that you get out of it because you don't have that busyness of things that are always going on. So to bring that to that yearly, I strive to have one of those every year where I'm just kind of off by myself and it doesn't matter where it is. It's just by myself. And so
I didn't know that about you, but it's the least surprising thing I could hear because I actually think you're one of the most thoughtful, reflective people that I've ever met, which is why I love talking to you. So I think the majority of people have been on a trip more like your Florida wedding trip
mhm.
than versus
Yeah.
time out alone. So I want to dig into that a little bit.
Okay, cool.
So when you decide to do that, what's what's your mindset or what's the premise for going into something like that?
I wouldn't say there's a triggering event. It's just that I can feel a culmination of stress starting to rise, and it comes from all different angles. So I could see my wife getting more irritated more often with me potentially, or the kids are just detaching, because like it's getting crazy, or I get sometimes my fitness will fall off, and I'm like, what's going on with that? And so it's just kind of like this feeling of dis-ease and burnout, like impending burnout is kind of how I see it or I feel it.
So it's not like every January, the second
No,
week of January you go. It's like when
no,
you feel this needing to happen,
yep.
you make it happen.
Yep, pretty much.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah. If I
That's
can. I mean,
fascinating.
sometimes I can't, but then it's just get away, for a weekend and go fishing in the woods. Like, I mean, it's going to be something, but it must be something or else there's going to be more problems, right? So,
So then when you get out there into that time alone,
mhm.
where does your focus turn to?
Inward, it always goes inward. So usually it'll start with, some recreation, like, oh, I'm going to go snowboarding or, oh, I'm going to go, to an island or something. And then maybe I'll walk on the beach and then sooner or later I end up like inside of a place sitting looking inside of myself is usually how it ends up, and then I'll do that for as long as I can until I like listen to the things that bubble up in my head about what it is that I'm hoping to achieve there or what it is that I'm feeling that brought me there, and then from there I try to take lessons from that and then draw those out.
Are you able to verbalize like the work that you do in that mind space, or does it just happen? Like
What do you mean by verbalize? Like recount it to you?
I once heard who was the guy who wrote Silence of the Lambs. I forget the author who wrote the book
I
Silence of
don't
the
know
Lambs.
that one. Yeah.
But he said that he would go up into a cabin in the woods and he wouldn't write the books. The books would write themselves. He would
Yeah.
just sit there and the stories would just come to him. Versus going up into the woods and sitting down and like forcing the story to come out of
Yeah.
your brain.
Yeah. No,
Is
there's
it
no intent. It's just I know I need to do a thing, and the thing is doing nothing. And then from that will arise all of these. Like if you take time to shut up and just watch yourself, it's amazing what will come out of just watching yourself. Like the things that once your mind settles and you arrive at where I mean they call it arriving in spiritual realms, but it's true because once you begin to like peel away all of the busyness and all of the garbage, I don't know about garbage, but all of the things you do on a normal day, like the autopilot things, then the things that are more impactful begin to bubble. Like they just arise. You're just like, oh, I never thought about that because I didn't really have time to think about that. And then you ponder that thing, or however you do it. But
Mm.
there's not a prescription, if that's what you mean. I don't have one, anyways.
I just find this so fascinating. So will you sit, how long will you sit like there in silence in your
I
headspace
I
for
mean, as long as I
sessions?
can. Like it depends on how I'm feeling, or I mean, it depends on a lot of things too. But it's longer than I think I should. That's how long.
Like
Hours.
20 minutes, like
No, maybe an
hours.
hour, 2, 3 hours at sessions times. And maybe I'll, like when I went to that cabin I was telling you about last year. Like it was 7 days, maybe 6 or 7 days, and that was a bit different because there was some heavy stuff going on, and I was like, look, I'm really gonna have to clear a whole bunch of spaces. So like I didn't eat for 7 days. Like I just got there, I drank water, I drank tea, I meditated almost constantly when I wasn't sleeping, and then I would do yoga, and I would just do things that I know bring about that change in me, right? So yeah, I guess it's a change really if you think about it. And so there's no prescription. It's just however long I think. But typically if I'm meditating hard or in a deep way, I always catch my mind saying, hey, you've been sitting here a long time. I wonder how much longer you can sit here. And I'm like, you should shut up. We're just going to sit here longer. So it's like, eventually something will come out of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize how, I don't know, spiritual is the right word, but spiritually impactful that time away was for you.
Yeah, it's
Can you
crazy.
remind me? Can you remind me where you went in a cabin?
Yeah, I went. There's a chant. Well, there's islands all over down here or over here in the Puget Sound. But my friend from work has an island. It's a doesn't have an island. He has a yurt on an island that's down here, and it's the only way to get there is via ferry. So he's like, here's the keys to my yurt. Why don't you go over there and hang out? And I was like, cool. And so I got on a ferry and I went there and I spent those days, and then I came back. And I think I shared this, but one of the most profound, I've never been on an excursion of that duration before, and all those things, they kind of added up to the way back. But I remember on the way back from the cabin, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna leave. And so I got in my car, and it was almost slow motion, like how things were going back into the speedy stream of where I had been. And it's that awareness of all of this busyness that doesn't really get you anything, but everybody thinks it's everything. And that's what the crazy part is. So for me, that was that trip's crazy part. But yeah.
And do you find yourself like reluctant to go back to the busyness, or are you like at peace with yourself enough to like, yep, okay, like I'm ready to go back?
Um, I wish I could have stayed longer without the busyness, but I think that one of the key elements of having that experience is to realize that there is an awareness that you come to that the busyness exists, because I think a lot of times we're stuck in it forever. And if you don't go out and look somewhere else, you'll just think that that is the status quo, but there's so much more that you can realize about things if you take yourself out of it. And so it's a win-win. I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question, but yeah, I've heard people say when they go for like really long, what do they call it? I said it earlier, I can't remember.
Like retreats?
Yeah, like a retreat. Like, it takes a while to get into it, but then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, and then you come back and it's like the surreal. You're super hyper vigilant, no, hyper aware
Oh,
of everybody else's. Just they're just frantic, and it's like, why don't you calm
yeah.
down? You don't need to be like that, right? So, but yeah.
Yeah.
How about you? What do you do for
Yeah.
the yearly or the big one?
It's been different since my daughter was born. In my 20s, I just, vagabonded. Just made up a word around the world. And I just remember being in so many places and just being so incredibly present in the moment where nothing else mattered, and just like being so grateful and just so appreciative of where I was at the time. I'll never forget, sitting on a kind of like a rock face overlooking the ocean in Australia and just being like, holy crap, like this is my life. Like I get to be here and do this thing. And I was just, I don't know, my world just felt so pure and so clean at that point, and nothing was taking up space in my brain at the time. But that was also a time in my life where my responsibilities were zero, and the only thing I had to do was, look out for myself and figure out where I'm going to eat my next little meal on the beach.
Yep.
So I did a lot of that, and I struggle to clear my mind up enough and be present in the moment enough to get back to that state. And it's funny because at that age, I knew enough older people in my life that mentally couldn't go there. And I'm like, I think there's probably gonna be a time in my life where I won't be able to do this. Like I was aware of the fact that I wouldn't be able to do that. And I think I appreciated that much more at the time. So that's something I work on is in the moment, not only appreciating the moment, but also thinking about how, oh, like, I don't know if I'll be able to get back to this. So I'm going to try to appreciate it even more. Now it's just different. Like I get so much joy out of seeing my daughter like enjoy things. Like there's a reason why there's $1 billion industries where parents take, where parents take so much, are willing to spend so much money to see their kids in joyful states, like amusement parks and Disney World, things like
Blizzard
that.
Beach.
Blizzard Beach water park.
Oh yeah.
So it's just different for me now. I haven't gotten away by myself to go do something in quite some time. But talking about like kind of the macro micro, I'm still at a stage right now where I'd prefer if I'm going to take a week where I'm going to go, or I'm going to share it with my wife and my daughter. Mine is more on a daily basis. I come down here into the basement at 4:30 in the morning, and I'm here until 6:30 in the morning, and that is what kind of sets me free and centers me for the day. And it's plenty for me right now. I don't feel the need to go anywhere for long periods of time and separate myself from society. I definitely find when I take a break from the busyness, I don't yearn to go back to it. So like if it's been a while since I've checked my phone or checked my email, like days, I like that first email or the first text is not something I really look forward to. So that's tricky. But I think as far as like a full mental reset for me, I'm still at a stage where kind of these three things are really what help me is being outside, being physically active, and being with people that I like truly enjoy spending time with. And that's those three things I think are really, really helpful for me. And thinking about this conversation too, I thought about how over the last couple of years, I've worked really hard to put in preventative measures that help prevent me from getting too anxious or stressed out about certain things. And I'm a true believer in those 5 pillars of health, those things that I have control over each day. And if I give them time and credence, they're really helpful with preventing things from bubbling over, and those are, a really good night's sleep, getting exercise every single day, eating well, having a strong mindset, and connecting with the people that I feel are the most important people in my life. And those 5 measures for me are really helpful. So, what's the old saying? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of. Do you know what it is? Do you know that saying? Yeah,
I'll put it in the show notes.
I shouldn't have even said it because I actually can't finish it. But basically, let me rephrase it: an ounce of proactivity is worth a pound of reactivity. So by preventing it, that's been really helpful for me. So the daily recharges have been really my go-to since my daughter was born. Now on a weekly basis, I completely like take a day to recharge my body over the weekend and my mind. And I have chores that I need to get done over the weekend. But if come Saturday, I really need that recharge day, I'll take it on Saturday. If I can get a bunch of stuff done on Saturday, I'll take it on Sunday. And my rule is don't do anything you don't want to do on those days. And that's really helpful for me. So, for some people it's a Sabbath. For some people it's, a day off, however you want to kind of word it or look at it. But for me, it's a full day of recharge, which is really helpful. And you're going to laugh at me for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's the truth. I find a lot of comfort in structure.
Oh, yeah,
even when I'm away on vacation, I fall into a routine very quickly. So like, I don't know, example could be that, I don't know, maybe we're staying at this hotel. So I'll eat breakfast at the same place and eat the same thing every day, get up at the same time, do my workout before breakfast. And like, maybe my whole day isn't structured, but I'll start my day with some level of structure. And when we first vacation, I went with my wife. She thought it was so weird that I'd get up while it was still dark and go to the hotel gym and do a workout and come back before anybody woke up. But that's just where I find comfort and routine, whether I'm on vacation or not. I'm looking forward to the point a little later down the road where I break away for a night or two. I don't foresee me breaking away for a week for a while. There's definitely times in my year where I'm like, I would just love to go to a hotel room by myself and just sit in there and do nothing for 24 hours. So like, I definitely feel at times that that I yearn for that. But as far as practical, what do we call them, tactical strategies that I use for me, my workout is the number one thing, and I do mindfulness every night before bed now
Hey, good
because
job.
I'm following your lead there.
Yeah. What are you up to?
Five
Time wise,
minutes. I
five
can do five.
minutes.
Yep, I can do
Nice.
5 minutes.
Is the thought of 30 minutes
Yeah.
just outside of your capacity of like,
Well,
I
the goal for this stage is 8 minutes. So
yeah,
I'm not even thinking beyond 8 minutes. Once I
that's
can get to
good.
8 minutes, I'll move to the next chapter in the
Yeah,
book. But I need to get to 8.
that's funny.
So did I answer your question? Oh,
Yeah.
so the difference between a trip and a vacation is a vacation is to completely unwind and reset and recharge. And then a trip for me is an experience that puts you in uncomfortable places.
Yeah.
And I
I'd like
love
to see how
both.
you feel about that. And what's LJ 6? She's
Yeah.
about, yeah, yeah. My wife mentioned something this time. So there was 10 of us and we all stayed at Airbnb. Like our crew, right? And this time we brought all three of our boys, and we don't usually that one's working or there's something that's going on, but this time we brought them all. And when we
Are you
got
talking
done,
about last week?
yeah, and when we got
Okay. Okay.
done, when we got back, it was like she says to me, she's like, "Can we go on vacation?" Because I felt like I had to be the mom the entire time. And I was like, yeah, like she's getting breakfast ready, like all these things that she does. I mean, that's what she does. So she chooses not to unplug. But I was like, yeah, I could totally see that. Like it was just go, go, go for her the whole time. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, up until LJ was born for us, it was always trips. Like it was, walking back alleys and finding the cheap way to get around cities and, go up into the mountains and sleeping in tents or whatever. So it was always trips. And then like a couple years into having a kid, we're like, oh, we should go on a vacation. And, there is no such thing with a vacation like with a toddler,
No.
but my daughter's very easy right now. So I think that we could actually go on a vacation. I mean, it's a vacation with a 6-year-old. And then Jen and I, 3 or 4 times a year, we get away for a night, just the two of us.
Yeah.
And that's really nice.
Yeah.
As well.
The older I get and the more now, it's funny because sometimes we'll be here like in the morning, like I work out here and Jocelyn sits on the beanbag with the dog and drinks her coffee and cruises whatever she's doing. And it's just so quiet. And it's funny because I remember a time not too long ago thinking, will I ever be able to escape this constant noise? And so it's just like, but that in itself is kind of like its own little trip, its own little respite from, the normalcy of what it used to be. So, again, I keep going back to, it really depends on, your situation and what you find as relaxing and all those
Yeah.
things. But yeah.
It's funny that you use the word escape because I was actually, when I originally thought of this topic to talk about tonight, I was going to pose it to you as how do you escape? But I think escape has a connotation that things are bad that you need to get away from. And it's not necessarily that you need to escape, but you just need to recharge.
It does. But that's interesting you say that because when you were talking and you were saying, at this point in my life, I don't need that right now. And it's interesting because that last time that I went on that trip to the island, I didn't plan that out. Like it was because a whole series of events unfolded before me that I could not have known were going to happen. And then it just manifested in that. And so it, again, to go back to that awareness is like, you always have to be constantly looking, or for me, it's sensing that feeling of, it's about to hit the fan. And so you have to be willing to know what you're going to do or know that you can do something in that time instead of just languish in that, whatever that toxic stew is. Right. So always be on the lookout or be on the feeling for that.
Getting down to the micro, what are things that you do on a day? I know you've shared some stuff on this podcast, but you can maybe be a little more specific of things that you do every day or on a weekly or monthly basis that help you with the brain reset or the the
Yeah, the, 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 the,
escape.
Absolutely. So strangely enough, strangely enough, like you, I think I'm very methodical in a lot of the things that I do, like on my own time in the morning, for example. Like I typically get up very early for my time zone, and I'll come out and do yoga, and then
What time is very early?
usually I'm out of bed by like 5:20.
Okay.
Maybe sometimes earlier if I am just laying there doing nothing. and like I'll do yoga and I'll do meditation and I'll do a whole bunch of breath work, and then I'll begin to look at work a bit, and then typically I'll go right to gratitude, and I'll spend 15 20 minutes just giving people props and like trying to help people out with things that makes me feel better about how I start my day. And then from there, I'll do some work, and then typically midday, and I've told you this a bit, but typically midday, if I can, I'll go for a run, and that depends on what's going on in the day. And then
You're still working from home right now?
yeah, I'm
Every
actually
day?
I just went up and got all my stuff from work, so I'm never going back to work.
Oh,
Yay! So
congratulations.
yeah, thanks. Gas $5 a gallon. I can't see why I would need to drive 100 miles.
You've escaped. You have escaped.
Oh man, maybe we should rename this to the escape.
Since I interrupted you, I'm going to keep going. When you do your stuff in the morning, do you have a special spot that you do that's away from your other things that you do?
No.
Or is it kind
Well,
of in the same place?
I have the hot tub. I haven't used the hot tub very much actually in the last, I don't know, 2 months.
I'm guessing the hot tub is outside.
The hot tub, yeah, the hot tub is
Yeah.
outside. Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I have a specific spot where I do those things. Like I do all those things together. Like
Okay.
I'll yoga and meditate and all those things in a specific part of my house that's furthest away from anybody that I might impact. So yes, but
No, I asked that because I'm finding that this is peculiar about myself. And I think the more I ask people this, the more I realize how much of an
peculiar,
island
right?
I am with this. I am, and this is not going to shock you one bit, I am learning that I am incredibly compartmentalized
In which way?
with physical spaces for one, but I think it's carrying over or maybe other things have carried over into the physical spaces. So like I can't do anything that's worthwhile as far as relaxing or recharging in a space that I do work.
Ah.
And I can't do a workout in a place that I relax. So like I couldn't do a set of push-ups in my living room. I have to go to the space where my workout space is.
Oh.
And for 6 months of the year, my workout space is in the basement. And for 6 months of the year, my workout space is in the garage. The couch is a relaxing space for me. So I'll never bring a computer onto the couch and do any type of work. And bed is a place where I sleep. So I don't do anything in bed other than, sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this intentional? Or does it just work out that way?
I think it wasn't intentional for a while, and then I realized it was, and I just kind of went with it. People give me crap because I don't like to eat unless I'm in a spot where it's set for eating, like at a table with a chair.
Yeah, interesting.
And it sounds, as I'm sharing this with you, it sounds very like a very high maintenance, and I am, I guess. But I just find comfort in that. So like I know that when I'm on the couch, I am fully relaxing. And I know that when I'm in bed, I am going to be sleeping. And when I'm in my workout space, like the focus is on the workout. So I couldn't be in the room where I do like schoolwork and also like just go on the floor and do a bunch of sit-ups and push-ups.
Huh. What's interesting
I remember that starting in college because a lot of my friends like to do homework in the dorm room. And for me, the dorm room was a place where I relaxed.
Yeah.
So I did all my work in the library, and having that compartmentalization is nice because when I walk into the dorm room, it's like, this is a place where I relax. When I walk into the library, it's like, all right, this is where you get to work. I didn't foresee this conversation manifesting into this, but the compartmentalization for me is huge.
What's funny about that to me is you teach in a classroom that is a jungle gym that's not a classroom. I mean, they're going there to learn PE, but it's like
students come in, I talk for 5 minutes, and we go.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of like sitting and talking.
Right. But it's an atypical classroom. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. And most of the instruction I do is one-on-one. Like the kids are set free, and then I bounce around the room, meet their needs. But yeah, very true.
Interesting. And what about the 6 months when you're in your garage working out instead of the basement? What do you do in the basement in those 6 months? Or do you not? You just never come down there?
Yeah, I mean, I have this studio set up now with my microphone and my lights and my backdrop. So this is the spot where I do all my content. So if I'm going to make a video, it's in this spot. If I'm going to edit a video, it's in this spot. When I'm doing anything podcast related, it's in this spot.
What's going to happen when you move back inside to work out? Then you're going to go out to the garage to do the podcast? How's that going to work?
No, this spot in the basement is set
Big
up
enough? Okay.
year round, and then we do park the cars in the garage in the winter.
I would hope
when the when the workout equipment is down in the basement.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I don't do it that intentionally, but like the things that I hold important, like I've really been trying to work on my sleep, and like when I get to my bedroom, the phone is across the room, and I'm not gonna touch that thing again. Well, my wife will sit in bed and just she'll scroll all day long. I'm like, how can you separate? And then 20 seconds later she's asleep. It's like that doesn't work for me, but obviously it works for her. But when the whole pandemic started, especially in my field of work, they were very clear about there is neurological reasons why you don't work in your bedroom because you'll never get out of your bed, right? Or like, so I could see
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
yeah, I could see that working out well, actually. So, huh.
Yeah. I it all started for me with the don't do any work in places where you relax. Like that was the first kind of step that I remember. And then it kind of built from there.
Do people see that as like, does Jen mention that? Like,
Oh,
oh,
she
there's
knows that
there's
about
Peter
me.
again. He won't eat pie on the couch. Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't talk about it. Like you're probably the only person
Yeah.
I really like had this conversation
Well,
with
they
about
know it,
this
right?
this
Yeah.
quirk. Yeah.
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 Do you see that in your daughter? She do the same thing?
No.
Yeah. It'd be interesting.
No. But we're already like that's a play zone and that's a play zone. You can't play there. No toys and no toys in the kitchen. The kitchen's not a play
Yeah.
zone. So if you left a toy in the kitchen, you're gonna lose it.
Yeah.
So and then like in the basement, she has some stuff and I have tape that make lines that say your toys don't come on this side because this is where the workout equipment is, and my workout equipment doesn't go
Yeah.
on in your play zone.
That's good.
So
That's good because a lot of times, like in that coaching class I'm taking, it's a lot of people struggle profoundly with setting boundaries, and I think that that's a different kind of boundary altogether. It's physical, but at the same time, it's clear in her mind, like we don't do this over here. That's the line. A lot of people never learn that.
yeah. When school closed, when COVID first hit in March 2019, I had to borrow a table from a friend and set it up in my basement as like my school
Yeah,
workspace.
yeah,
And working from home was brutal for me,
yeah, yeah.
really, really, because that compartmentalization is gone and there's no separation between
Oh yeah.
work and home. And I had a really, really, really difficult time with it.
Oh.
And when we went back to school, I was just over the moon excited.
What was the hard time? Like, how did that? If you don't mind my asking, like, how did that appear or feel? How did that feel
I
to
don't know.
you?
For me, I just feel like there's for my own life, there's something to be said about you get in the car and you drive to the place where you
Yeah,
do work and you do work. And then when you get home, I can mentally separate from it. Now, my wife does 3 to 4 hours of schoolwork every day at home. She does a couple hours before school while I'm working out, and then she does a little bit before bed. And I do schoolwork at home as well. But I don't know. I just think leaving and going to this place
yeah,
is I don't feel like I escape work when work is at home. I don't know.
yeah.
How do you deal with that?
I love it now, but at the beginning, it was like you said, it was very, it's so funny because if you look back at it, there's all sorts of positives for me that came out of it. Like I didn't really realize how irritated I was doing the work I was doing until my wife was like, "You're really mad all the time at work," because she was watching me at
Oh,
a table where she would
yeah.
have never seen me for the 20 years before that. So I would have never had that awareness had she not said that or I'd been in that situation. So it's but typically I struggled too because I was doing that work with being with people a lot and that fills me up. But now we've turned the corner where people realize that we have this shared situation and we can actually be better if we don't make ourselves do things that seem mechanical, like I have to go to work, like that's just ridiculous. And so people can be who they choose to be in a better way regardless of where they are, and I think that that's pretty
Mhm.
cool. So
So that oh man, that was a crazy side tangent.
yeah, it
Um,
happens.
you were sharing what you do to get through your day, and then you talked about your morning stuff, then your
Yep,
afternoon run,
yep,
and then you get back to work, and then I cut you off. So
yep. And then
go ahead and
I
finish. Go ahead and finish that.
so yeah, wherever the workouts lie, the more focused I am on physical education. So physical is always for me. I have to do that, or I'll go nuts 2 days later, and I'll just be not a nice person. So I have to do that like you. But um, when I do that, and at what times fluctuates greatly. But typically, it not typically, almost every day, I either run or I work out or I do both, and so those fall into there somewhere, and then I intentionally eat between specific hours of the day. So I try to do it between 12 and 5 p.m. So typically between those hours, I'm either working out, running, or jamming calories down my face.
So you do your intermittent fast of
Yeah,
just 5 hours, 5 hours on,
yeah,
and 19 hours off.
yeah,
Wow, I do a
yeah,
12 and 12.
yeah. I mean, it would be way
Six to
too much.
six.
Yeah. It depends.
Yeah.
It depends on your structure though, right? Because you're at school half the time and it's very hard to eat that many calories if you didn't spread it over 12 hours. So
I don't have any desire to do even an 8 and 16 split.
yeah. Well,
For those who don't know what we're talking about, on is the hours that you put calories in your body, and
yeah.
off is when you don't eat at all. So what I'm saying is I don't eat after 6 p.m. and then I don't eat until after 6 a.m. the next morning. Todd is saying that he doesn't eat until noon,
Yep.
and he eats through 5 o'clock, but after 5 o'clock he doesn't eat anymore.
Right. Yep.
That's a whole different topic or a whole different episode. We can
totally
talk about
that. Yeah. At some point, I'm going to do a long fast, like a 14 or 18 day fast where, yeah, we can talk about that later, but it's going to be, be very interesting. Yeah. And then I wrap that up with, and then I try to have another structure at night where I put on my blue blockers at, 2 hours, I hope, before I go to bed. And then I start, my family thinks I'm nuts. I'm pulling out candles and lanterns, so I'm trying to get the sun to go down, and they're like, all the lights in my house are 5K. They just turn on the lights. It's like, oh, whatever, that I do. And so, but typically I try to wind it down till bedtime. And then if I can, I try to do like a second meditation before bed. Sometimes it's just too busy in here, but if I can, I do that. And then I go to sleep and I do some breathing techniques while I'm falling asleep. And then I'm off to Z's.
And just to be clear, blue blockers are glasses that block out the blue light from your devices.
That's right. Yep.
Because from what I understand, the science says when our eyes are taking in blue light, our eyes are telling our brain we're not tired.
Yeah, it's
and our brain's telling
thing.
our body we're not tired when our body actually is tired. That's why you can go on like a 14-hour video game binge and not even feel tired.
For sure. Yep.
Is that's not part of your routine every night?
No, I don't play video games. No, don't do that.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Man.
What about you? What's your day? What's your workout in the morning?
So my day looks like this every single day. Get up at 4:30, work out till 6:30, come up. We have breakfast as a family at 6:30. I leave the house at 7:15. School. I eat lunch at 10:40 this year. I eat lunch really early. School ends at 3. At 3, it's depending on the day of the week. I either go to the grocery store, I have an after-school meeting, or I come right home. Regardless of all those, we eat around 5:30. I try to do no devices from when I get home to when my daughter goes to bed. I'm not always successful there, but that's a goal of mine. I do shower, teeth, and all the pre-bedtime stuff with my daughter, get her ready. Once she gets in bed, my wife goes in and reads to her. While my wife reads to her, I do dishes. Another way that I kind of recharge is I often listen to brainless podcasts. I do in my warm-up. My warm-up is about 45 minutes in the morning. I listen to a brain full podcast that I learn stuff from. And then in the evening, I listen to a brainless podcast, sports or like silly CrossFit stuff while I do the dishes and make my lunch. Go down to the basement again. And that's my mobility physical therapy. And I do that for 25 minutes. And then I cap it off with 5 minutes of meditative breathing. Then I go up, I write my journal about what happened during the day, usually pertaining to my daughter. I read until I can't keep my eyes open anymore. And then I listen to another brainless podcast that puts me to sleep.
Yeah.
And I just set a timer on the podcast.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I did sleep stories for a long time, but then they couldn't keep up with my like you'd think that you have a new one every night, but apparently that's not a reality. So, but I do listen to those. And I remember my wife thought I was nuts. She's like, bedtime stories for adults? What the hell is this? It's like, oh yeah.
But it's neat how you come up with little ways to kind of recharge throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like I walk back and forth from one building to another 4 trips. So it's 8 times. And those are about 90-second walks. And I just kind of breathe deep and kind of recharge during those. I heard that during the height of his busyness, Jerry Seinfeld would always take 20 minutes and go separate from everybody and just meditate for 20 minutes. And he said that's what kept him sane and able to do all the things that he did. And then my car rides are recharging in a way. I usually listen to music on those. And then, just the I look forward to the podcast and I look forward to the little breaks. And so I've kind of, in the beginning of the school year is always really hard for me because I don't have my set routine yet. I just find a lot of comfort in routine. And I think routine is freedom. But when you're off routine, you need to be able to deal with it.
Right.
Sometimes that's not my strength.
Nice. Right on. Well, that's a good chat. I wasn't expecting that. Good topic, Peter. Good
Yeah,
topic.
well, speaking of routine,
Oh,
thanks for coming back. Now we can
yeah.
be rocking and rolling on Mondays.
Yeah.
To all our listeners out there, we so very much appreciate your ears. We thank you for your time, and we're incredibly grateful for your attention. And with that said, we are out.
See ya.